like the sound of that. That. Ooh, I must have this track on repeat. Repeat. Oh, you hear that? You hear that? Oh, let's break it down. Oh, let's break it down. Oh, let's break it. Break it. Break it down. Let's drop the beat. Beat. Let's get you healed up. Let's get you healed up. Healed up. Yeah. Healed up. Yeah, let's move it, people. Let's move it, people. Yeah, let's pick it up. Lucio coming at you. Coming at you. Yeah, time to heal up. Oh, turn it up. Turn it up. Turn it up. Turn it up in my headphones. My headphones. Turn it up in my headphones. Audio medic. Audio medic. Audio medic. Move to the beat. Boost. Oh, this is my jam. Time to accelerate. Alright, it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. F it up. Oh, I'm in the groove. Back in the mix. Check yourself. Oh, feel that healing beat. All right, heal up. Heal up. Heal up. Heal up. Healing boost. Oh, I like the sound of that. That. Ooh, I must have this track on repeat. Repeat. Oh, you hear that? You hear that? Oh, let's break it down. Oh, let's break it down. Oh, let's break it. Break it. Break it down. Let's drop the beat. Beat. Let's get you healed up. Let's get you healed up. Healed up. Yeah. Healed up. Yeah, let's move it, people. Yeah, let's move it, people. Yeah, let's pick it up. Lucio coming at you. coming at you. Yeah, time to heal up. Oh, turn it up. Up. Turn it up. Turn it up. Turn it up in my headphones. My headphones. Turn it up in my headphones. Audio medic. Audio medic. Audio medic. Move to the beat. Boost. Boost. Oh, this is my jam. Time to accelerate. Alright, it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. F it up. Oh, I'm in the groove. Back in the mix. Check yourself. Oh, feel that healing beat. All right, heal up. Heal up. Heal up. Heal up. Healing boost. Oh, I like the sound of that. Ooh, I must have this track on repeat. Repeat. Oh, you hear that? You hear that? Oh, let's break it down. Oh, let's break it down. Oh, let's break it. Break it. Break it. Break it down. Let's drop the beat. Beat. Let's get you healed up. Let's get you healed up. Healed up. Yeah. Healed up. Yeah, let's move it, people. Yeah, let's move it, people. Yeah, let's pick it up. Lucio coming at you. Coming at you. Yeah, time to heal up. Oh, turn it up. Up. Turn it up. Turn it up. Turn it up in my headphones. My headphones. Turn it up in my headphones. Audio medic. Audio medic. Audio medic. Move to the beat. Boost. Boost. Oh, this is my jam. Time to accelerate. Alright, it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another episode of Off the Wall. It's your boy Dazzle167 bringing it to you back again. We are sponsored by CGL Console Gaming League, also sponsored by SoSickClothing.com, and newly formed with the Tiebreaker GG org. So, if you guys don't know, we're having actually a little bit of technical difficulties. Um, we have Unreallamp on the other side, but his internet is being as buggy as hold on, let me say, yeah. His internet is being as buggy as Hammond and Comp right now. So I don't know how if he can get back or so. We're gonna try to get him back on his phone real quick. Oh, wait, hold on. He's trying to collect himself. He's trying to collect himself. There we go. There we go. It's getting there. It's getting there. Yeah, we there we go. Wow, nice. Yeah. I gotcha. I gotcha. Well, listen, I was just telling the people all the sponsorships so far: SoSickClothing.com, CGO Console Gaming League, and Tiebreaker GG, which I should probably put their stuff somewhere around here. We're also gonna have some of them next week as well. But uh, yeah, we let's introduce our guest here, who is finally getting a hold of his internet. Yeah, shaking the camera. Mr. Unreal Lamp. Unreal Lamp, how are you doing? I'm doing good. I am doing good. Um, so listen, we we've been troubleshooting your internet for about, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes. So, but yeah, but I think we finally got it, and we finally got you up here. So let's talk about a few things. We always usually start the show with uh, talking about your gaming origins. So let's go all the way back to the beginning of when you started playing video games, and tell us about what were some of the first games you started playing and what platform. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Nice. Oh, you know what? I just realized they couldn't hear any of that.
Really?
My bad. Hold on. It's not your fault. I think it was my fault on my end. Hold on.
That's fine.
I unmuted you. I unmuted you. Now you are. If you don't mind repeating the answer real quick,
Yeah,
go
no,
ahead.
that's fine. So, basically, I've been playing video games since I can remember. I've been playing like on the Game Boy Advance was my first like console, I guess you could say, even though it was like portable. So I played like Super Mario World was probably my favorite game when I was younger. I played that on the Game Boy and the Super Nintendo. And then from then on, when I got older, I just started playing Xbox, Call of Duty, Halo, all the games that came out around when Xbox was a big thing,
Yeah.
Xbox 360 at least. So mainly like all my first person shooter experience is probably just Call of Duty. So
I mean, that makes sense. I think that's everybody's. I mean, I started out like with like you with the Nintendo and stuff like that.
mhm.
And I think those types of games were really good for people who started getting into gaming, because they were kind of unforgivable, right? Like you couldn't really save the game. You had to play it all the way through. You know what I'm saying? Like those
It
types
taught
of.
you the struggles of like online gaming.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I mean, now, Now it's different. Now there's hard mode and medium, like easy, all that stuff.
Yeah, you can
So
choose difficulties.
right. But back then it wasn't like that. So I think it's a good introduction for people. Let me ask you this:
Yeah.
how did you get into Overwatch? What was your experience
Okay.
like that?
So basically, I was like bored of every game that was out, and like I couldn't find a game that like actually entertained me, and I was just like, okay, maybe I'm done with video games or whatever. And then my friend actually showed me on his phone. He was like, dude, look at this new game, blah blah blah. It's gonna be huge. And I was like, oh well, I don't play on PC, and Blizzard made it, so it's probably PC only. So I was like, okay, that's yeah. I was like, that's
Yeah.
okay. And then I go and I look more into it, and actually they ported it for consoles, so it was going to be console and PC. And then I got kind of excited. I was like, oh, I love Blizzard. You know, I played StarCraft 2,
Oh, nice.
and I loved it. Like, yeah, I love Blizzard. So I was like, you know, this could be a big, and you know, all the hype surrounding Overwatch before it came out. Like,
Right,
everybody and
right.
their mom was talking about it. So I was like, might as well just pick it up and try it. So I bought it and started playing.
Nice, nice. Well,
Yeah.
so let me ask you this: when you started playing it, what were some of the first characters you started playing and why?
Okay, so I have a funny story actually.
Okay,
This is around the time when like season one comp came out.
okay.
So I was playing on like default settings, and Genji was probably my favorite character back then. I just like played tons of Genji because I was like, what? How many years ago did it come out? Three?
3, yeah, 3. Because we
Yeah.
just had the
So
anniversary.
yeah, so I was like 13, 14. So like I was like obsessed with like Genji because he's a ninja. You know, it just sounds
Right,
cool. But and I liked his play style. Like you can jump and do all this stuff. So
right.
I was playing him for a while, and then when season one came out, my friend actually he kind of trolled me because he had been playing comp before me, and so I asked him for like tips and stuff, and I
Oh, hold on. Oh, hold on. Let me see if you're back. Are you back?
yeah, I'm
Oh,
here.
okay. Now we can hear you.
So my friend basically he trolled me. He told me I asked him what sensitivity to use, and he told me 1510. So I was literally trying to play Genji. I was trying to play Genji on 1510 sensitivity. And every time I dashed, it took me like 3 minutes to turn around,
Yeah,
and
you're like,
I was like awful. Yeah, it was pretty
that's your
bad.
sensitivity right there. Yeah, no, I could totally see that. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So, okay, so you played Genji for a bit, and that was one of your
hmm
first characters. When did you start getting better? When did you start realizing that you were getting good
Okay.
and stuff like that?
So, when I was in like so season one, I think my number or whatever was like 60, which is like I think that's like diamond now or something. I don't know.
Mm.
It was like decent back then, I guess. But and then season two, because my sensitivity like was that low, I have a feeling that had something to do with it, you know. I was in
Sure.
plat actually, season two plat, but and then I met one of my friends actually, one of my good friends. His gamer tag is Craft, and I met him in Plat, and he got out of it right when I started. Like I was about to quit the game season two, right? Because I was like, oh, I'm pretty bad. Like I don't know, I'm not getting better. And then he like told me to change my settings and like actually like start paying attention when I play. And that next season, um, I dropped Genji and I started playing Reinhardt, and I
Mm-hmm.
climbed to Masters season three actually playing Reinhardt, and it was really fun actually. That was probably my favorite season, season three. And then from season three on to like season seven, I was just a Reinhardt slash tank player. And then from like season seven on, I just started trying new things, started playing DPS, and now I guess I'm considered like a flex player. Play a lot of heroes.
Nice. So what's your peak at? What where have you
Mm.
reached, you know?
On my main account, I've peaked 4,400 plus, and if you're counting like alt accounts, I've hit 4,500 plus.
Okay. Nice. So so you played a lot of Ryan, you played a lot of main tank. Let's talk about main tanks real quick because I think this is going to be an
Okay.
interesting thing. You know, I think for a long time the only main tanks that were available were Winston and Reinhardt, right? And then Orisa came
The
by
two
and
the two most fun in my opinion.
right, exactly. So if you played main tank, that was the only two characters that you really played, right? What has the transition been like for what do you feel like it's been like for Reinhardt? You know, I've talked to other players about their characters and how they think it's evolved. You know, Reinhardt's one of those characters that has been buggy in the past, hasn't worked as intended as well, but it's also never really had like huge nerfs or buffs. Like it's just been like certain like small things, kind of like quality
I
of life
kind
stuff.
of I feel like I kind of disagree with that thing,
Okay.
because like he got a nerf to it, or it was kind of like a fix, but it was a nerf to me to his Earth Shatter, where they made it. It was bugged. It was like ridiculous. You could Earth Shatter somebody from high ground and they would get stunned. But the way that they fixed it was like if they're not like you used to be able to Earth Shatter payload and the people on top of payload would get shattered, but
Yeah,
now
yeah,
if you
yeah.
shatter payload, it just goes under. So it's like a
Right.
lot lower, and I think that was a pretty big nerf. But nothing, like you said, actually, nothing like game breakingly, like you can't play like nerf wise.
Right,
But
Reinhardt hasn't really been reworked like a lot of other characters. You know, you think of, you know,
yeah,
characters like Roadhog or Mercy or Diva. You know, they've all been reworked. I mean, I remember when Diva used to be able to kill herself with her Diva bomb. You know.
that was the best. You'd kill yourself, but still get a 5K and come
Yeah,
back.
yeah. It was like a kamikaze character. Like you just
Do you
you.
remember her old Matrix lasted for like half a second?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, you know, all of those things, you know, and Mercy, obviously, she got a huge rework. Lucio got a rework. Like, so many different characters that have been there from the beginning have gotten reworks. And Reinhardt, I feel like he's never gotten a rework. But then again, Reinhardt's also one of those guys. He's like, he has a shield and he has a hammer. And that, you know,
Yeah, he's pretty straightforward.
he's pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of stuff you could do with him, and they obviously just tried to change the quality of life for him and stuff like that. What do you think, for you personally, allowed you to get better with Reinhardt throughout playing Overwatch? Like for you, what clicked for you where it was like, oh, I know now how to play Reinhardt. Like I start doing
Okay,
this and that.
so actually watching live streams and watching like Reinhardt. I was watching this Reinhardt play. Have you ever heard of Moon, the streamer?
Oh yeah, Moon Moon, hell yeah, well, it's
Yeah, I used to
OG
watch him
Overwatch.
way back. Yeah, I used to watch him way back. He used to play Reinhardt, and somebody in his chat was just like, make like a 15-minute guide on how to play Reinhardt like now. And he just
Mhm.
like he was explaining everything about Reinhardt in that period of time. And after watching that, I just like kind of got it, and I was like, okay, so just fire strike until you get shatter, try and bait out the other shatter, and then block as much damage for your team as you can. It's pretty straightforward. And like
Right.
after watching that, I just started doing that in ranked and started popping off. So yeah.
There's different styles of Reinhardts too. I know a lot of
Oh
different
yeah.
Reinhardts that like. I mean, there's Reinhardts that go real aggressive. You know, I'm thinking people like Bumper, where they just they kind of feed, but they still do a good job at
Make
like.
up for it.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
create a lot of space and they make up for it. And then you have like really conservative tanks where they really just hold shield as much as possible and they kind of work around their team. What would you
hmm
say is your style of play?
I'm extremely aggressive when it comes to Reinhardt because for me, I mean, I'll play smart, but once I start, like once I see an opening, like I'm committing to the opening on like a kill or like free damage to my ult or whatever. And usually that's why I only like playing Reinhardt with a Zarya so that I have like a bubble to fall back on, or like
Right.
at least a Diva from Matrix or something. Because playing Reinhardt with no other like tank support like that, it's kind of hard for me. Because yeah, I am
Right.
an aggressive player on Reinhardt.
So let me ask you this. There's, you know, for a long time, especially earlier on in the seasons, but well, you know, at least the first few seasons, Ryan Zarya was pretty big, and then
Oh
we
yeah,
eventually moved on to the dive meta, and then Winston was pretty much the tank to play.
yeah.
You know, what was your experience there as a Reinhardt player? Did you just switch to Winston? Because I know
No,
you
I
played it.
made my team.
You
I
made
made
your
my
team.
team go Ryan Zarya every time, which was kind of a throw because yeah, dive was like ridiculously uh powerful back
Right.
then, but like I just forced the Ryan Zarya, and it still worked like a lot of the time. Even well, I and then sorry, and then like as time went on, and I like started becoming like other. I started playing other tanks, right? So like when Reinhardt was like obsolete, or and Winston like started coming in, I started playing other tanks as well. So I would be like the diva if we ran dive, or like a different hero if we needed to run dive. Like I wouldn't be the main tank, if you get what I'm saying.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, so then, so okay, so in ranked you forced Ryan Zarya, and then eventually you said
To a
afterwards
certain
that
point.
to a certain point, right? So
Yeah.
after a while, you mentioned how you kind of started flexing a little bit now, and now you're known more as a flex. So
Yeah.
what brought that change up for you?
Well, I realized so like um on console Overwatch, like around season 7, there's this big team called the Season 7 Kids, and they kind of like revived the game for like our community, I feel like, because they got like a bunch of old players to get back on, and they both played each other, and it was fun to watch. It was really fun. Um, and after that, like I watched that, and I was like, maybe I should start playing Overwatch again, because I quit like around the time where I stopped playing Reinhardt. And after watching that, I was like, maybe I should play Xbox Overwatch again. Maybe it's not like so dead or whatever.
Yeah.
So I decided to just come back, and I was like, I started playing Reinhardt, and I realized my team wasn't performing very well, and I was like, maybe I should just try playing, DPS on a different account, and see where I get. So I made like alternate accounts to just play DPS on and see how far I would get, and surprisingly, it worked out pretty well, and I just kept getting better at it, and I just started flexing to like DPS and tank, and now I even flex support. And I just think it's better to let your teammates play what they want to play, because it makes the game more comfortable, and everybody's just like nobody's gonna like freak out or tilt. Usually, I mean, people always tilt, but it'll prevent them from tilting if they get to play what they want. You know what I mean?
Right. How did you feel about once Brigida came into the game? Goats became a thing, and then Reinhardt kind of
Oh
came
yeah,
back to the limelight and became a kind of a staple in comp, and in a lot of ways, kind of is. At least in goats, right? I don't think the 2-2-2 Reinhardt Zarya is very good in comp right now, but I feel like the
no,
goats
it's just
version.
bunkering goats right now.
Yeah, bunker and goat. So with that said, well, how did you feel like when Reinhardt came back to the meta and was kind of like a staple when goats came around?
It was fun. Like people like to talk bad about goats, but honestly, I think it was a really fun meta personally. As a flex player, I guess DPS players would say otherwise because they couldn't play their role. But
Yeah,
as a
I
flex
the
player,
the only people I know who disagree with goats like as a meta is DPS players. Really, like
yeah,
legit. Every other person, like if I talk to tanks, if I talk to supports, they're like, oh yeah, we love goats, and DPS are like, we
yeah,
hate goats, it's boring to watch. It's like, yeah, because you guys aren't playing.
yeah. For me, like goats compared to bunker, I think goats is more fun because you have people moving around all the time, and all this. But with bunker, you have one team sitting still in the same spot, just looking down a choke the entire time. And
Right.
for me, that's like it's just kind of boring. But I always found goats fun, and Reinhardt coming back into play was huge because I could play literally like every character in goats to a decent level at least. So for me, goats was fun because I'd get to play like a different hero each time. And yeah, Reinhardt coming back was definitely big, I think, for the game. It was really fun, and it just like added a lot for me too. Yeah, it was great.
So, here's a good question that I think a lot of people often debate about is, back when the goats was the meta and bunker hadn't really gotten big yet. Um, there was a lot of people who often criticized goats as kind of like a brain dead comp, right? There was people who thought, oh, goats is brain dead because all you got to do is just stick together and push as a team, as opposed to and then now with bunker, it's sort of like even more like that argument where, oh
Hmm.
well, all people have to do is just stay there and use immortality field, and you know, and like that's what it is. Right? What is your thoughts about goats specifically, as far as like whether it's a comp that, because I feel like it requires a lot of actual like communication and
I think it
teamwork.
depends.
Yeah.
I think it depends on what the other team is doing. If their other team is just like running 2-2-2 against it, not like a counter goats comp, I think it's brain dead. I think it's really easy to win in that situation if they're not doing anything to counter it or playing it back. But if it's goats versus goats or goats versus like counter goats, then I think, especially on counter goats, you have to play versus like a pharmacy or something like that. You have to play very like smart if you're running goats. So I think it just depends on what the other team composition is. But I definitely don't think it's brain dead unless you're running it against like something it counters, you know?
Right. That's something that it can just roll.
Yeah, because in that case, you don't have to aim that much. You can just kind of like walk into them and they'll die. But that's
Right.
only if they're not running goats or something to counter it.
Right, right. So, okay, so then the question remains, do you think, because I feel like some people call goats like a brain dead comp because they don't really know really the nuances about it. Do you think because I obviously you expressed how bunker is kind of boring because you kind of just stand there and wait for the team to come to you. What do you
Yeah.
think about bunker as a comp? Do you think it's like a brain dead comp? Do you think it takes skill?
Um, Honestly, it takes some skill and communication. Like your Orisa needs to know where to shield, and like you need to know when to put immortality down if you're running a
Right.
bastion or whatever. But the skill requirement isn't that high, so I feel like it's not hard to run. Like for how rewarding it is, I don't think it's hard enough to run. Is what I'm trying to say. So like,
Right.
because you can just have someone sit there on bastion and then like just get ready to immortality field and have like a shield there, and they get a lot of value off of it on certain maps. So I think it is a little brain dead, I guess you could say at the moment.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense. Let's talk about Hammond real quick, and we'll get to Hammond breaking the Xbox in a bit. But
That
let's talk
was
about
funny.
yeah, I know a hamster killed the Xbox. Let's talk about Hammond as a character first, because before Hammond came through in comp and stuff like that, people didn't really know what to make of it. I still kind of really don't know what to make of it because what, in your
Me
opinion,
neither.
yeah, like okay, so then give me your thoughts about Hammond as a role, like because some people say, oh well, he's an off tank or he's a main tank. What do you
He's
think?
he's definitely somewhere in the middle because, he doesn't like there's no shield. So like I guess you can consider him a main tank without a shield, but because he soaks up a lot of damage and he can like stand in the front. But in my opinion, I think he's like more of an off tank, but he's kind of like both at the same time. It depends on how you play him, I guess. Um, but for me, I think I'm not a Hammond player, but I think I would consider him an off tank. That's what I would say.
Now, in certain compositions like quad DPS, and single healer, single support, or single support and then single Hammond, he is considered more of a main tank. And my opinion has always been like I feel like he's a main tank in certain comps because he can create so much space, right? I
Hmm.
think a lot of times the thing that really makes a main tank is the shield, right? Winston has a shield, Orisa has a shield, Reinhardt has a shield. Hammond
Yeah.
doesn't
So
have a
there's so
shield.
you can yeah. I mean, yeah, that's what I would say. I mean, even if he can make a lot of space, he still feels kind of separated from the other main tanks because of that like no shield. But he still could very well be a main tank. I think it's just like your opinion or like how somebody like chooses to play him.
Right. And I think Hammond is important too, right? Because in this meta where
Very, yeah.
bunker is really big, Hammond is kind of crucial for a lot of times. I mean, I feel like in attack on Paris, he's kind of like the play to go to where, otherwise you have a hard time trying to get through that bunker composition on Paris on if they're defending and you're attacking, Hammond sometimes might open up some spaces for you, right? So that's definitely part of it. But tell me about your experiences with when you're let's say you're in the mood to tank in comp, right? And somebody insta locks Hammond. What do you do? Like what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
It depends on the map, the player's skill, and like all of that. But if it was like a good Hammond player and I knew they were a good Hammond player and I was trying to like make a comp around it, I would either run like if it was on attack, I might run like no shield, like Hog Hammond or something like that. A composition like that could work, or I would play Orisa, just depending on the situation.
Depending
But
on the
if
situation.
yeah, and then if I knew the Hammond player wasn't gonna do much, I would ask him to switch to like Orisa or maintain.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's let's talk about. Okay, I got a few other things I want to talk about, but before I get that, let's talk about how Hammond broke Xbox.
Oh
And I
yes,
feel
this
like this is
is
gonna be a big opinion because okay, so we got a new patch. They made they gave McCree a machine gun. And in addition to that, they made it so that every time Hammond, ults on a payload or something, he basically just disconnects everybody from the game.
yeah.
Um, and I think I think at the lowest levels, people don't really have to worry that much. But at the highest levels, I've seen a lot of people take
Oh yeah,
advantage of
people
this.
were abusing it. Yeah. So like for me, when I as soon as I found out it happened, I stopped playing like comp. I was like,
Yeah,
okay, this is unplayable,
same.
because like it was ridiculous. And then I went with my friends in quick play to see like exactly how it was happening, and we found out that it was like when like two or like an ult hits with another ult, but like it has to be Hammond mines. So like for example, if you EMP somebody and then they get hit by the Hammond mines, I think it has a chance of DCing them or
Ah.
somebody on their team. So I think it needs to be like two ults though. So like uh
Well,
you
that
might be
makes
able to do
sense.
it. You might be able to do it with just Hammond mines though. I don't know exactly, but I just think it's ridiculous. And then like the people using it on ladder to climb, I think that's just like
Yeah.
really scummy. I think
Right.
that's yeah, because it's basically there's no. It's just like DDoSing somebody. You're like
Right.
kicking them off the game. It's
Right.
cheating.
Absolutely. And I also heard there was a tweet by Tensa where he was talking about before he
Oh yeah,
talked about Hammond. He was talking about how, there was a big part of Orisa alt and Baptiste alt at the same time, and how that would do the same thing. So I think you might be onto something about how two
yeah.
alts might
That
collide
one,
in DC.
the Orisa Baptiste one, I think kicks your own teammates off, and then the one with Hammond kicks the enemy team off, which
Oh.
is really weird, and I don't know how any of it works, and I don't know
Yeah.
why it's just an Xbox issue, because I had some friends from PlayStation, and they said it didn't work
Yeah.
on PlayStation.
Yeah,
So like,
Hammond is only banned right now or unavailable for Xbox. It's available
it's
on
so weird to me.
on PC, and well, you know what? I don't understand what made it so weird for it to be like that on Xbox. I don't know
Me
what
neither.
specific. So that's really weird. Okay, so let me talk to you about this because I think this has been something that a lot of people have been talking about, and I want to get your opinion on. Is the comp can sometimes be really hard to deal with because of the
Oh
people
yeah.
that are often playing their roles. Sometimes you'll get a like for me as a healer, sometimes I'll get in and it's like, hey, look, there's two other mercies, and me who
Yeah.
plays Lucio, and so sometimes, so the there's been talks about role queues,
That won't.
and
I'm just gonna. Sorry for
go ahead.
interrupting, but right now I'm gonna tell you that won't work
Okay, that's what I wanted to talk to you
okay.
about.
So the reason that won't work is because what would the role queue like be? Like, would it be two DPS players going into the queue, and then you would have two tank players and two healers? Then you couldn't run it something like goats. So like you wouldn't have enough tank players to play goats or like different compositions with like or like triple DPS or something. So like I don't think there's a way that role queue could work like successfully if it like locked them into the role. But one idea I have come up with. Have you ever played the game Apex Legends?
Yes.
So you know how in the beginning it has somebody pick first, second, third, fourth, fifth, or like first, second, and third,
Right.
basically. I feel like the person with like the highest, like maybe MMR or SR or something, would get to pick first, and then it would go further down. And then like maybe that would fix some of it. Obviously there's going to be some person that just picks like DPS last when you already have two, or like mess something up, you know. But I feel like that would be a better idea than roll queue, because you can't do certain compositions with roll queue if they're locked into it, and if they're not
Right.
locked into it, then it's not really a roll queue.
Yeah, and
So
that's the thing too, because okay, so I've heard several things. I've heard several things about people where it's like, oh well, Roku needs to be 222, or I've also heard that people were thinking, okay, how about roll kind of a soft roll lock where people have to play like two healers for sure and two tanks for sure, and then the other two spots can be flexes. And I've heard of that, because then you could still play goats. You might not be able to play quad DPS, right? And you probably can't play
mhm.
triple DPS either. Um, but I guess that also ensures you to play two healers, which is not necessarily a must, because I think you could still solo heal with Mercy, especially in like quad DPS and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I think that puts a lot of pressure on the Mercy being good, because I think for you to play quad DPS solo heal Mercy, your tank and your support have to be good.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I think like another problem with that would be like a huge part of Overwatch is like counter switching the other team. And
right.
if you don't have the right heroes to counter switch, like what if they lock Pharah and then nobody on your team locked a hit scan? And nobody on your team can go to hit scan, and the Pharah's just gonna roll you that game. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no, that also is an issue. But if roll Q isn't the answer, what do you think is the answer? Because I feel like the sometimes comp is highly unbalanced, and not necessarily just SR, because I know there's a lot of high tier players who they'll be like 4.4 and they'll get
Oh
masters.
yeah, I'm masters right now. I can't. I'm not even gonna lie. On my main account, I'm masters right now. I've been
Yeah.
like trying to climb. It's been rough this season.
Oh,
I
I
went from
know. I
40. I
I
went
know.
from like 4,300 to masters in like 2 days, and I've been stuck down there now.
Trust me.
So
Listen, I went from 30. I went from 3,700, and I went all the way down to diamond, and now I'm back up in masters. But like, it's been
that's
terrible. It's been so
yeah.
bad.
It's a rough season for
It
me.
has been,
Yeah.
and it's been rough on a lot of people, because I know
But yeah.
tons of top 500 players who've hit top 10, or were in the top 100, or whatever the case may be, who were even top one, top, the number one players
Yeah.
are now in masters, or low GM, or stuff like that.
Just like lower than where they were. Yeah.
Right, and it's because comp is so bad. What do you think is attributed to that? Because there's got to be, I don't know what specifically changed. It can't only be the composition's bunker. Like, I don't think it can't only be bunker.
It's
What do you
not.
think it
It's
is?
so it's a mixture between like the compositions and new heroes, and it's a mixture between like I feel like people are getting bored of playing their roles and just like branching out and doing different stuff. So you have people like just like picking roles they don't really play that often and just like messing around and not trying as hard as they could. And I think that you can't really fix that because that's just how people are. But like role queue or like something similar to role queue could be like what you're talking about could help in a way. They just need to make sure they do it in a way that it doesn't harm how the game is played, in my opinion.
Right. Let's move on to a different topic, and let's talk about so recently, obviously Baptiste was released and stuff like that. We also got a new skin
Hmm.
for Baptiste, and alongside that skin, with the challenge and everything that's been going on,
Well, the lore,
the
yeah.
lore came out with it. Now, in that lore, it's been hinted that there might be a new talent tank in the works, right? Um,
Yeah.
what have your opinions so far of what you've seen, and what would you want to see, as somebody who's played Reinhardt for a long time? What would you want to see in a new tank? What do you think tank players need right now?
So I think one of the main reasons like Orisa is really powerful right now is because of her fortify ability, like being able to immune to all CC. So I think a cool ability for the new tank would be some like CC immunity, some type of CC immunity to like be
Okay.
able to even compete with Orisa right now. And then that's like the main one for me. As long as it has like some type of CC immunity, it would be really cool. And then like I'd like to see another main tank actually like that could be played other than Orisa, you know, because I don't know. I feel like the only way to get Orisa to stop being played so much is to buff either nerf her obviously or buff Ryan or Winston. And then if you buff Reinhardt, then I think Goats is going to become big again, and then buffing Winston, Dive will become good again. So I feel like they just have to make this main tank balanced. If it's a main tank, I don't even know if it's a main tank. Have they released that information yet or no?
No, they haven't. They basically just
Okay.
leaked like what he may look like. Um,
Okay, so there's
and
like nothing
right,
on
there's
his
nothing
actual.
there's nothing
Okay,
really substantial about the character so far. Um, but
so I would
but
just
yeah,
leave it at like CC immunity then
but yeah,
for the
and
new tank.
that's a good point because like, if you think about it, as far as tanks go, there's no real CC immunity. I mean, there's obviously Orisa, which has her fortify, and I guess
Yeah,
Zarya to a certain extent when she bubbles somebody, it
yeah,
kind of takes away the CC for the most part, but it goes away quite quickly. And as far as those two, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think those two are the only ones, right? There's not any other
yeah.
anti
Unless
CC.
I mean, Diva can eat some CC abilities, but that doesn't really
Right.
like flashbang she can eat and other stuff, but it doesn't really count as like a
And they
CC
also
immunity.
nerfed her, which is
Yeah,
another
it's
thing.
really
So,
small now.
right. So, there's that as well. So that's part of it too, is that we're gonna have to see how that happens. But yeah, obviously some sort of CC anti CC ability would be really good. A main, like you said, maybe a main tank, because I feel like yeah, you're right. One of the biggest problem Reinhardt has right now is that
No CC
no
immunity.
CC. Like he gets like I know main tanks
Have
who
you
play
ever
Reinhardt and they get so
have
screwed.
you ever played Reinhardt against like Doomfist May? It's just the worst experience you'll ever have in your entire life.
Yeah,
You're just
yeah,
getting moved around. You can't do anything about it. Was like Orisa has like at least like what 5 seconds of like being able to move, so it's a
yeah.
bit more fun, I guess.
Yeah, oh no, absolutely. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I feel like that's part of it too. Also, the Clockwork Vendetta comp that's out there right now, where it's
Oh
like
yeah, that's
Torb,
interesting to me.
May, Orisa Hog, Mercy Zen, and then sometimes
Or
they
Ana
switch
Zen
off,
can work.
yeah, or Ana Zen, or maybe like a triple DPS single healer one. It'll all depend because but yeah, those are also really interesting, and those do really well at zone doing like a lot of zone control. May has a lot of CC,
Hmm.
and Torbjorn has his ult, which is also very CC ish.
And Maywall can
And
like
Maywall, yeah,
help
separates.
get space.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. So there's a lot of that too. So definitely something anti CC should probably be coming into the game. I think yeah, you're right. Something anti
yeah.
CC. Let's move on to something a little different. We'll wrap up the show with this too. This could be a last question. If anybody else in
Okay.
chat has a question, feel free to ask it. And then we'll get to it after this last question. But which, by the way, Zrealism on here is spamming "Let's go clamp, let's go" in chat.
Oh, that's my boy. I wish I could see chat right now, but I'm on my phones and I don't want to like ruin the connection by opening it on something.
Right. But I just wanted to let you know he's cheering you on right now.
I love you, Kelp Shake.
So yeah, so okay,
His
so
Smurf is a kelp shake. That's what I call
oh
him.
nice.
Hmm.
Let's talk about the last thing, which is sort of like an interesting topic that has come through, and obviously these are just rumors and leaks and stuff like that. But Overwatch 2
Oh my.
was released, and I mixed feelings about this about from everyone. People were saying, "Oh, thank God it came," and other people were like, "This is stupid. Why would they release an Overwatch 2?" So, before we ask you your opinion on it, like let me just gather some information that we have so far. So far from Blizzard, according to them, they were stating that it'll probably have to do with a little more PvE. So to me, it sounds less like Overwatch 2 and more like Overwatch the PvE expansion, right?
Hmm.
But let me ask you, what were your initial thoughts when you heard about Overwatch 2?
So at first, like like right when Overwatch came out, I thought Blizzard was gonna do something like they were gonna make like another FPS after Overwatch or something. Because I don't know, it just felt like they weren't paying enough attention to the game for me. Like
Mm-hmm.
if that was gonna be their only FPS, so I thought they were using it as like a test game and to make like an even bigger FPS. But now I'm not sure about that because Overwatch League and all this other stuff. So Overwatch 2 for me, I thought it was gonna be like another FPS like online, but if it's more PvE based, I think it could be fun. It just depends. Like we haven't heard enough about it, I don't think, to
Right.
judge. Like I hate when people judge games before they even like know anything about it.
Right.
But
This is gonna be
if
the
it's
worst thing
PV,
ever, and then nobody knows anything about the game.
yeah, yeah, it's just like or the best thing ever, and then it's like awful. Like it's
Right.
gone both ways. You just have to play it and see. So I think it could definitely be fun. I mean, Overwatch Blizzard knows how to make good games, good PvE games, so they could turn it into something pretty fun actually, I think.
Yeah, that absolutely. And I think that I think it'll be good, especially because I feel like there's a lot of players who want to get into Overwatch who are casual players who get frustrated at comp at a lot of times,
Yeah.
and they sometimes don't have a place to go other than maybe arcade or quick play. So it'll be good to see a lot of that as well.
Shout out to the Quick Play Warriors.
Shout out to the quick play warriors. So yeah, that'll be good to see. Well, listen, I think that's it for me. That's all the questions I have. I think that, yeah, lame sauce. All right. Blood Dust is also in the chat. He says you're looking cute, Lamp, just to let you know.
Ooh.
So, listen, that's all the time we have. I think we touched upon a lot of stuff here. But
Mhm.
wait, hold on. I'm getting a message that Fell Lamp his Enderman farm sucks. Okay,
Wow.
tell Lamp his Enderman
He's
farm sucks.
insulting my Minecraft skills.
Wow, that sounds like fighting words, dude.
Did we get any chat questions or no?
No, we didn't get any chat
Okay.
questions so far. That's the only thing we got was Zeroism asking that thing. So all right, so listen, we're gonna try to raid somebody from the community, like we usually
Ooh.
do at the end of the show. So we'll see who's gonna be on right now, and we'll raid them at this time. Tomorrow we're actually going in a different direction. Off the Wall is gonna try to expand to different things. I know we focused on Overwatch for a while, but I think CGL is doing a lot of things with Mortal Kombat. They're doing a lot of stuff with Smash Bros and Call of Duty. So we're gonna expand to different games. And tomorrow we're gonna have one of the biggest Mortal Kombat players out there right now. He's ranked like something like top 10 or 15 in the world. So we'll be able to
That's
talk to
insane.
him. Yeah. We'll be able to talk to him, and he's gonna tell us all about Mortal Kombat. Because I haven't played since the first one on the arcade. So it's gonna be a treat for me to learn all that stuff. We're gonna go ahead and see if we can. Let's see who we have. Basic, we have Scary, we have Javion, Warren TV. We have a few people. I think we're gonna give it to Basic. Basic, I always give it to Scary. I think Basic is a really good guy. We're gonna give it to him for a bit. We're gonna raid him. And then, Pat Swagger, I see you. We'll probably get an interview sometime soon. I promise. We'll get you in here. Don't worry about it. And then, guys, next week we'll have some more guests. Keep tuned into twitter.com/dazzle167 to hear about all the updates for some of the guests that are going to appear on the show. And if you want to be a part of the show, do like Pat Swagger did and just hit me up. DM me on Discord or Twitter, anywhere that you can find me, and let me know, and I'll try to get you on the show as well. Until then, guys, stay tuned. Tomorrow we're gonna have some more guests, and next week we'll have some more guests as well, and stay tuned for all the info on that. We're gonna go ahead and raid Basic, and guys, until then, I'll see you later. Bye.
Peace.
Oh, 4, 3,